Hello, and welcome back to This is Therapy 20 Minutes in the Mind of a Nigerian. This podcast is brought to you by the humans of Nura, and we are so glad to have you here. On this podcast, we have honest conversations about life as a Nigerian. We're not here to give you advice, but to share the struggles, the confusions, the joys, and everything in between about being a Nigerian. And we hope that by the end of each episode, you're able to go home with something meaningful and impactful. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, we are so glad to have you here. You are welcome, and we hope that you stick around. And if you are a returning listener, we're so glad to have you back. And if you're a returning listener, we are so glad that you came back, and we hope you keep following us along on this journey. On today's episode, we'll be talking about stress and particularly trying to answer the question, is this stress or is it something else? I don't know about you, but we've probably all at some point made the statement, I'm stressed. So I decided to check the definition of stress, and among the many definitions, one stood out to me. So I'm just going to read it out. So this dictionary defines stress as aggression towards an organism, resulting in a response in an attempt to restore previous conditions. And beneath all of this English, something struck me. Stress seems to be the frustration and the, annoyance when you are in a place that you don't necessarily want to be. And it's like a struggle or a fight to get back to a particular state or maybe what's familiar or what's comfortable. So if you had regular sleep, the standard 8 hours of sleep, you had a balanced diet, and then life happens, work is busy, personal life is busy, and all of that just gets turned upside down. Your stress is because you're in a state that isn't the calm and balanced state that you're used to. And I just found that quite interesting. But back to our question, is it stress or is it something else? So let me start with a little story of something that happened recently. Some days ago, I was in a bad mood. I can't quite remember what happened that led me to that state, but I just know that I was in a very, very bad mood. I just felt awful. I felt sad. I just didn't feel okay. And my personality or my temperament is I'm a very strong choleric, like 90 something percent with a sprinkle of melancholy. And I remember the last time that I did a temperament test, and I already knew I was choleric, but reading through the not so positive traits or behaviors of cholerics, yeah, it did not look good. Again, our personalities or temperaments are not an excuse to behave anyhow. But generally, in trying to understand yourself, in trying to understand your reactions to things, or how deeply or how strongly you take on external pressure, the temperament really helps us to sort of like understand ourselves better and helps others to understand us better too. Anyway, back to I was in a bad mood. I was in a bad mood, and I was speaking to someone about all the things going on in my mind, why I was sad and why I was thinking. And in the conversation, after everything, she asked me about my sleeping pattern or how I've been sleeping. Have I been sleeping properly? Have I been sleeping well? And let's just say I have the typical, maybe it's not all Gen Z, but typical Gen Z, or maybe 2026, 2025, yeah, our current lifestyle of sleeping the next day. So I slept the next day, I woke up on that day, that stuff, sleeping past 12 midnight. And I did mention, or she does already know, that I generally sleep late. Sleep late, and because you sleep late, you're trying to regain that sleep. So waking up early is almost impossible. And so you sleep late, wake up late. And when you wake up, you don't actually feel that great. this coupled with lack of exercise, plus the type of person that I am, let's just say that was not a very good combination. And she was telling me that it's the stress on my body. I feel physically tired, even if I sleep too late and wake up thinking that, okay, I've gotten these many hours of sleep. Because I didn't sleep at the time that is most effective or efficient, I'd wake up and my body would actually still be under stress and pressure. And so every small thing was now becoming so big in my mind, because my mind and my body was just tired without me fully realizing it. Again, lack of exercise, there'd be body pain. It was just uncomfortable. Plus heat. The weather has been quite hot. And so all of this compounded just led to feelings of frustration, meaning that yes, there were things going on in my personal life, things that I wish were better, but my mind was magnifying it and amplifying it even more than it needed to. I have this thing where if I've set a time that I want to sleep, today I want to sleep early, and for some reason I'm stretching beyond that time. As I'm up, with every minute and every hour that I'm up, I feel upset. I feel frustrated. And I really wish that I had gone to sleep at that time that I had set for myself. And again, all of this just starts compounding. So every small thing seems so big. So back to the question, is it stress or is it something else? And the answer in this particular example is yes, it was stress caused by something else. It was stress caused by lack of proper sleep, lack of exercise, and things like that. And I think that's the case for a lot of us as Nigerians. Again, it all goes back to stress. Yes, it is stress, if we're going back to the definition that we read. But if we really probe, that stress is caused by an inner dissatisfaction or frustration. We live in a country where sometimes it feels like everything is just set out to frustrate us. There's just a lot of things that aren't going right. And so it could be from you come back after a long and tiring day and you meet no electricity and your devices are down. Or electricity is gone and you're thinking about the food that you have in the freezer that is going to start defrosting. And then on a personal level, you think about how it feels like the system is just out to stifle you or frustrate you. And so a lot of times the tiredness or the frustration that we feel is from expectations that haven't been met. And so you feel like you should be at a different place or in a better place at this time in your life. And because you're not seeing things going the way you believe that they should, because you feel like you're living below your potential, it just all compounds and compounds, and you feel that weight of stress. So let's just say that a lot of times the system can put a lot of strain on Nigerians. It's in everything that keeps on building up. The day that there's no network and you have work to do, the day that somebody just decides to be rude for no reason, especially when you go to government offices. All those aunties that will be like, but you're somebody's mother. Why are you being mean like this? So I think in the times when we say, oh, I'm stressed, it's really important to take a step back and try to identify the source of that stress. So yes, we're saying that most likely it is stress. It is your body, your mind reacting and trying to get back to that equilibrium state that has been disbalanced. And Yes, we just say, I'm stressed. But if you ask what's stressing you, you might give like the surface answer, but then there's something deeper that is crying for help or calling out for help. So, for example, I'm stressed. What's stressing you? Work is stressing me. What about work is stressing you? It could be the deadlines that need to be met. And honestly, that is a very strong reason to feel stressed. But if we now probe deeper, sometimes it might be the deadlines that I have to meet, and I feel afraid that I'm not capable of doing this. I remember when I sort of like got a or pivoted in my role at work, and I honestly was afraid. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where to start from. And there's almost that sense of, I think they call it imposter syndrome, where you're given a responsibility and apparently they think that you can actually you can actually achieve that thing that they've given you to do, but you have this fear that no, I'm not capable of this. How am I going to do this? They said, I don't know where to even start from. It seems so much. And so I'd wake up in the morning, I'd have so much to do, but it's like I'm frozen. My body is frozen, my brain is frozen, and I just feel tired even before starting the work. And all of this requires me taking a step back and asking myself, what am I afraid of? What exactly is making me feel so paralyzed and frustrated? And just like in the case where I had a conversation with someone and realized that my sleeping pattern is not helping me, I would now be able to look back, take a step back and say, okay, yes, this work seems a bit beyond me or a bit much, but I'm capable of it, right? And I would need to adjust some things in my life to be able to help my brain to accommodate the added responsibility. So yes, sometimes it is stress, but sometimes it is a call to readjustment. There's already so much that happens externally, a lot of things that happen beyond our control as Nigerians. And for example, electricity issues, network issues, those are not things that you can just up and snap your finger and fix. And that leads to a lot of frustration. But the question is, on our own ends, what are the things that might need a little bit adjustment, a little bit of adjustment to sort of like come out of that full-blown stress state. So it might be that I might need to reduce my internet consumption or my internet usage, because all of that is weakening my mental capacity. And so when I actually need to do the work I need to do, it becomes so much harder. I think there are day-to-day stresses that are just the regular toughness of being an adult, of being responsible. And those are things that will actually be fine. Like, yeah, it's tough right now, but you gotta do what you gotta do. But then there are things that require adjustment. There is stress that once the task is complete, once the work is complete, yay, peace of mind. I was able to do that. But there are certain situations where it's a call for adjustment. It's a call for a tiny shift in lifestyle. So sometimes it might be, like me, a call to exercise, a call to stop sitting so much and stand up occasionally, a call to take a walk. Might be a call to drink water because the weather is hot, as I said. It might be a call to just breathe in and breathe out and live in the moment, live in the present, and not think so much about what's next, the future, always being in a rush. I live in a city in Nigeria that Well, no one really seems to be in that much of a hurry. Well, some people do, actually. Some people are in a hurry, but some just are not. As opposed to um, Lagos, where everybody is in a hurry. Like, if you're not in a hurry, what are you doing? What are you actually doing? Um, and in even in the place where everyone doesn't seem to be in a hurry, you might find yourself always thinking about what's next, what's in the future. You're not living in the present. And yeah, all of that compounds and we sum it up to I feel stressed. And I think that to an extent in Nigeria, stress has been normalized. It's like you're supposed to feel stressed. If you don't feel stressed, you're not being serious. You're not doing what you need to do. And I don't think it needs to be that way. Yes, you can feel tired. Yes, you can feel a bit overwhelmed at certain points, but it shouldn't be one state of being. I don't think we were created to perpetually be in a state of struggle. And unfortunately, we live in a country where it's like struggle has been glorified. Um, and it calls for us to intentionally and deliberately fight for our peace. This doesn't mean that things aren't happening around us. This doesn't mean that things aren't going on and there isn't reason to be frustrated. But then, in the midst of that, always asking yourself, why do I feel the way I do? Not normalizing stress to the point where we fail to probe and again get back to a state of equilibrium, because no matter what's happening around and what's happening outside, we need to be able to ground ourselves. And for me, sometimes grounding myself looks like disrupting the schedule a little bit, maybe eating breakfast for dinner, you know, just getting out of that monotony, out of that vicious cycle that wants to keep you frustrated. It's easier said than done, honestly, and it requires a lot of self-awareness. I started this saying that yes, I one day woke up and I was in a bad mood, and I know my personality, I know my temperament, and if I'm not careful, if I allow myself to spiral, I can spiral really badly. What frustration or overthinking looks like to me might not be what looks like to somebody else, and knowing ourselves enough to ask ourselves those questions and fight to get ourselves internally at a place of rest. So that stress you feel might be a call for you to sleep, might be a call for you to adjust your sleeping schedule, might be a call for you to reduce your internet usage, because that's very much within your direct control. The sense of dissatisfaction we tend to feel a lot in our generation is because of a lot of comparison. And well, a lot of comparison comes from looking at other people's lives online. And so sometimes that stress might be a call for you to stop comparing yourself with somebody else, stop comparing their lives with yours, and finding joy in the little things in your life. So next time that you say I'm stressed, I hope that we're able to actually ask ourselves those questions and not just leave it at I'm stressed without a solution, but actually trying to find a way to come back to a state of inner peace, a state of equilibrium, and a state of rest, because you deserve rest. I really do hope that from this episode you are able to pick out something meaningful and something that you can take for the rest of your weekend, depending on when you listen to this. And I'm truly grateful that you took out the time to join me on this journey for the last 20 minutes or so. If you would like additional support, please reach out to us on our various platforms. You can send us a DM on Instagram. Our handle is Nura Services, or you could send us an email at nuranigeria@gmail.com, or visit our website, Nura Services, and book a consultation. The goal is to be our best selves, to thrive, and to work through whatever we do need to work through as Nigerians, not allowing any system or individual to stop us from being our best selves. If you have any questions or any comments, you can leave them anonymously using the link in the caption. And until we meet again, do have an amazing, amazing day and take care.